2024, a retrospective. How was this year in anime? How were the last 365 days? Uh, Good, bad, better than usual, worse than usual? Where do you guys want to start with this? It's a lot to take in at once.
How about we each say the standout for us, like the one anime that stood out in our memory
Oh, that's so
for from
tricky
2024.
because I don't watch shows until right before we review them. Like
True.
we're not even into the fall shows for most of them. So we'll still do our anime Oscars in a few months, which gives me a chance to catch up on everything. But yeah, we can still. So with that, disclaimer that I have not seen everything from this year that I want to yet. Yeah, what do you guys think? What are your personal highlights?
I love Dawn to Dawn. That was the peak for me. Beautifully animated. Interesting place to leave us off before the second core, but that one was peak 2024. That is likely going to be my anime of the year.
That's a good choice. So two really stuck in my mind. I absolutely adored the Rama One Half remake on Netflix. It was a just a huge syringe of nostalgia straight into my veins, and I honestly couldn't be happier with the adaptation. That I'm sorry, the Discord group corrected me on my pronunciation. The adaptation. Uh, they were very firm on my pronunciation. So the adaptation of this Rama One Half is great. And then of course for me, I know it kind of breached two different years, but finished this year. Freerin. Freerin is just it was a big ball of fantasy that I absolutely adored from start to finish. From the music, the characters, that for me, that is a 10 out of 10 perfection. I'll rewatch it. Anybody wants to rewatch it, I'll rewatch it. I don't care. That is definitely a home run for 2024 for me.
For me, I think this place of like it lived rent free. Like that was the one anime that lived in my head rent free and surprisingly so. Yatagarasu. Emery and I were gonna get more into that. We're definitely going to talk about that. Um but yeah, in us on the other side of the coin, the flip side here, Uzumaki, because I was so hyped. So hyped. I was thinking about it all the time whenever this was gonna come out, and it finally came out, I'm like, and it sucked. So, yeah, but we'll definitely talk about that more. Mason?
I mean, I feel like it's tricky because far and away, I think the best thing was Look Back, the hour long movie by Fujimoto, the guy who did Chainsaw Man. I thought the shows overall, I judge a year based on what were the highlight shows, the shows I'll carry with me for years and years to come, and there really weren't any for me. I thought there was a bunch of solid shows this year, but nothing that I was really we'll look back on and be like that was the year of this show or something. That so it was kind of tricky, and that's accounting for almost 225 plus shows came out in 2024, and that's including some O&A and carryovers like Apothecary Diaries, and it's tough with films because some stuff will come out in Japan in 2023, but stuff like Blue Giant and Maboroshi didn't come out till this year. We got the new Mononoke movie, which is pretty awesome, but I wanted to, before we got into shows specifically, I wanted to get into some podcast stats, which
Oh,
people love the
Okay.
numbers. So I went back and averaged the scores of this podcast over the past couple years. And of course, obviously, we have a batch of new hosts that have entered the fray, and that will influence what shows people are reviewing, hopefully slant us a bit more positive. But here's some numbers for you guys. 2021, the average score that we gave to all the shows from that year was a 2.8 out of 5. 2022 was a 2.7. 2023 was a 2.89, the highest so far. And so far in 2024, we're at a 2.87. So we're neck and neck with some of the best shows, like Emery mentioned, with Don to Don and stuff to come. So this could be the highest scoring year for the podcast in terms of liking shows we like. Now, I will mention that Otaku is the most positive of all of us so far. Now, we only have a couple reviews under our belt, but your average is a 3.5. And Emery is the most negative, though that could be accounted for some of the shows she was on to review and not her own personal disposition, if you will. Her average is at 2.17. So how does it feel to be the grouch, the Grinch, the just stealing my crown is the most curmudgeon-y of us?
It is definitely due to shows. If you go back and listen to the original, the OG Anime Court, I got flagged for being the most like positive on shows, leaving them in this like realm of 7 or 8s. I think it comes down to the shows. But you know what? I'm gonna wear my grouchy crown for a little bit. I'm gonna enjoy it. Get
Good.
a little.
Doesn't
What
it
were
feel
some of the
right?
shows
room
that
in
you had
here.
reviewed? Because I have trouble with my memory. Like, so what were the
So
shows
this
that
was
you
the
were forced
transition
to
I was
get
going to make. So what were the worst shows? The shows that we were just the most like, get this taste out of my mouth from this year.
I can kick it off again.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I obviously reviewed Gushing Magical Girls, and that was a choice that I actually made. I was the one who picked that show. But
You were like, oh,
Uh,
yeah, get me on Gushing. Absolutely. Out of
I
all the
want-
things that you could review, that was the one you begged to review.
Which he gave the
So
same
what I-
score as my dear friend Nokotan. So those are two twos that'll pull down the average.
Yep. So, and then the other show I watched was Train to the End of the World, which is just it's a fine mid show. But I would say my least favorite. Ooh, I did find it. We didn't review it for the show, but Days with My Stepsister. That was my least favorite show of 2024. That one actually got a
And
lower
you
score
finished that
than
one?
Gushing. I finished Days with My stepsister.
You're a
Stepsister.
trooper.
It was rough. That one was a rough one to finish.
I finished it too. I mean, I don't mind being Mr. Positivity, but I too have animes that I didn't like my dear friend Nokoten. I couldn't get through episode 3. I didn't like it. The jokes just didn't land for me. I found the characters to be annoying. I just couldn't get. For me, that was probably the worst anime that I watched this year, to be completely honest.
I think some of the real stinkers for me in terms of reviewed shows was MF Ghost season 1, Rurouni Kenshin, and Windbreaker.
Yeah, I forgot
I know,
about
like-
Windbreaker. It's not
Yeah.
the worst show, but it's so forgettably bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's not like terrible, but I was just not feeling it at all. Oh yeah, and Tsundere Lisa-Lot or whatever her name was.
Mm,
God.
yep.
Oh, that was a mistake on my part. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Well, enough negativity. Yeah. So general thoughts of the year, shows, seasons. Looking back, like how do we feel about 24? Good, bad, about the same?
I mean, in my thought, I mean, it could just be because recency bias, really. I don't know. I feel like this year of anime just wasn't up to the standards of previous years. You know, like there were good shows. It's just it seemed like a pretty forgettable year in comparison. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like there were some standouts, but there wasn't as much as there has been, or at least it feels like that.
Yeah, I mean, especially coming off of, I thought 2023 was a particularly strong year. I mean, especially if you account Freyrin as being part of that. But I don't know. I think the shows there really resonated with me, just felt more timeless, just felt like it had more gravity. Whereas everything in 2024 that's even been good has been kind of, I don't know. It's sequels, and I feel like something about a sequel, like Oshinoko Season 2 was excellent. Sound Euphonium Season 3 was excellent. Dangers in My Heart Season 2. Like, these are all good shows. but I feel like they don't make as big of a splash being a sequel versus like original new stuff. Like even the new Monogatari series is amazing, but it's 7 seasons deep at this point. Like I don't feel that same impact. So I feel like that's what's really lost it for me is the new stuff hasn't hit.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
think
see if I can get like a short list of some of the really good not original, but like first seasons of stuff. Because as you said, like there are quite a few good sequels. But yeah, I just want to see. So while I'm
y-
working with that, we'll see.
yeah, I think this was a fine year, but when I look back, whenever you can get a 10 out of 10 on my Annie list, that tells me it was a good year. And Skip and Loafer last year, chef's kiss. I
Yeah.
love, 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 love that show. And obviously, I love Demon Slayer. I got Demon Slayer both years, so I watched Link Click season 2, Pluto. So there was just a lot more
Was Link
meat
Click this
to
year?
2020. Link Click
Season
season 2
3?
was last year in
Okay.
2023.
Gotcha.
Yes, season 3 is that technically 2025?
It's on that borderline stuff where it's like you can associate it with hair, but and once
Okay.
again, I'm also, as I said, I haven't finished Day Destruction. I haven't seen past episode 1 of Orb, but I love both those. Like, I get that I'm coming from a place of ignorance, and like 3 months from now, Mason will look back and be like, "What was I talking about? There was a bunch of good shows that you hadn't watched yet." Okay, fair, fine, but
I I just remember Delicious in Dungeon. So that was one that had a, I had never even really touched that property before, but I think there's too many sequels. I think every season there was like a major sequel that came out that maybe clouded the pool of the newer stuff. But like, was this year particularly higher for overall releases versus other years? I think you said there was 250 shows this year.
220 something, and that's kind of on par. Like we're usually getting 200 plus shows a season, and that's including OVAs, ONAs, and series with like at least multiple episodes. But it's saturated for sure. And I always say like it's still the best year we've ever had for anime in that everything that exists this year, we still get everything that came before it. So if 2023 is a great year for anime, you can watch all those shows in 2024. So like